What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's review, thanks to the team over at Yolopark, we're going to be checking out their colossal Transformers Rise of the Beasts Beast Mode Optimus Primal. Now, if you would like this or any of their other AMK series model kits, then definitely be sure to head down to the links in the description box below. And with all that being said, let's get cracking. So, this Optimus Primal stands at an impressive 62 centimeters tall and features a staggering 28 individual points of articulation. The beast mode is comprised from a mixture of polystone and integrates an entire internal endoskeleton system which is constructed from steel, so that not only can it support the weight of this behemoth, trust me, this guy weighs a ton, but it is also completely rust proof and corrosion resistant to ensure longevity, and so that he can replicate all of the poses that we saw from the Transformers Rise of the Beast movie. Now, Yolopark is producing two versions of this Optimus Primal. The first is the Deluxe Edition, which is the version that features in this review, and the second is the standard release, which visually appears to be pretty much the same, although does not feature the upcoming jungle-themed display base. It also will have considerably less removable exterior armor, and finally lacks the breathing and smoke effects that eject from Primal's back. The Deluxe Edition is retailing for $2,200 and is limited to only 500 pieces worldwide, whilst the standard retails for 1,400. Much like their previously released 62cm Optimus Prime, Primal's armor can be removed depending on your display preference. The neck guard can be changed depending on posing, so you can have one option which is more for if Primal is standing upright ready to face off against Optimus Prime, and the second is to conceal the back of the neck when he's in his classic on all four position, ready to charge into battle alongside the Autobots against the Terracons. Optimus Primal also has detachable magnetic armaments scattered all the way throughout his body to reveal some insanely cool internal details, and the paintwork is looking sick. Beneath the armor plating is a mixture of cybernetic details and the inner workings of Primal's beast mode to give you the impression that he is truly more than meets the eye. Personally, I love how the larger armaments can be swapped with compressed versions to further reveal the internal details, such as the insanely cool pistons that are embedded within the back of Primal's knees, and the same can also be said for the outer torso plates. These massive chunks of armor can be removed and swapped for compressed versions to again reveal some additional detailings. The underside of Primal's neck also features, I want to say, around 4 different interchangeable panels to conceal any gaps that may become visible depending on what pose or stance you have him in, which I think is pretty badass. Now let's check out the alternate head sculpts. So first up, we have this insanely detailed neutral version, which has all of the intricate detailings as seen on the actual CGI model. Personally, I'm a huge fan of battle damage detailings on my Transformers, so to see the scarring and the general wear and tear that Primal has sustained whilst battling against both Predacons and Terracons, I think is sick. The second sculpt, though, is by far the most badass and is without a doubt my personal favourite, as we finally have the repulsor embedded within the back of Primal's throat as seen throughout the movie, although most noticeably when he is single-handedly taking out Airazor. The sculpt is just so wicked, and the detailings to the inside of Primal's mouth is insane. I mean, just check out the teeth detailing, the tongue, and even the mechanical paneling that is completely surrounding the outside of the faceplate. It's just so cool. But that's not all for these faceplates, as much like their previous Optimus Prime, the faceplates are completely magnetic and can be removed to again reveal the inner workings to Optimus Primal's face design. Now, the head sculpts are actually really important for the next feature that I'm going to be showcasing, that being the electronics, as both sculpts need to carry a whopping 4 AA batteries which are encased inside Primal's brain module in order to maximize this Maximal to life. With either sculpt firmly attached into place, simply smack the Maximal insignia on Primal's neck crest and bang, he is instantly activated. But that's not all, as if you press the button on the right hand side of Optimus's collar, he actually begins breathing, which is crazy. To see the mechanical paneling surrounding the main bulk of the torso compressing and exhaling is just so insanely cool. If you press the right hand button once more, then the movements become even more erratic to give you the impression that Primal is either gearing gearing up or charging into battle. This for me is an absolute geek out part about this figure, because despite the mechanical movements, the articulation and the posability is not compromised at all, which from an engineering perspective is actually kind of mind-blowing. Now there is one final electronic function this guy has, and to activate it you simply smack the button on the left hand side and bang! Primal actually starts vaping from the back, which is nuts. This I believe is to give you the impression of the panels compressing and the air being exhausted through the back paneling, which is just so wicked. In order to refuel these vapes, there are 2 reservoirs on each side, which just needed to be lifted, and a few drops of water should do the trick in order to recharge them. Now let's get stuck into the articulation, which in itself is an absolute workout, because as I mentioned previously, this guy has actual steel inside of him, which means he is crazy heavy, almost a little overkill, but at least he ain't going nowhere when you start posing him about. So first up, the head can be lifted all the way, it can be lowered, it can be moved left to right, although it's super stiff, and then finally can be tilted left to right. The shoulder pads are actually really cool, as they have a realistic layer of fur on the underside. They are also spring loaded, so will simply shoot back into their original positioning to create a seamless and natural pose. Both shoulders are on ball joints, so can be shifted forwards as well as outwards and backwards. The elbows are double jointed and can curl way past 90, and check out this super sick shock detailing embedded within the elbows. The biceps can also be rotated left to right, and each and every single one of his fingers has around 3 points of articulation, so you can definitely get pretty expressive with them, which is kind of neat. And as mentioned previously, despite the electronic mechanical feature, the torso articulation is not hindered whatsoever. This means that he can be shot backwards, and even the spinal column will automatically adjust itself, which I think is so cool. It can then be brought forwards, it can be rocked side to side, and then finally also rotated left to right. Now due to Primal's colossal scale and height, it's going to be a little tricky to showcase the leg articulation, although the pelvis and butt plate can be brought forward and are both spring loaded, so can manually adjust depending on the hip articulation, which, talking of bang, it is totally possible to get this guy into his iconic battle ready pose with all 4 limbs perched on the ground ready to charge into battle. To be honest, I'll really just let the details do the talking for itself, as this guy is kind of breathtaking and looks exactly how he did in the movie. Now, as we check out a few comparisons, this is really where I hope to show you guys the true might of this Primal, because first up we have him compared alongside the 3-0 premium scale Optimus Prime, and even he is absolutely dwarfed by this Optimus Primal. The scaling on this beast is crazy, he is really a force to be reckoned with, and yeah, this is just how these two stack up. Massive difference. For you Studio Series fans, here we have the line's biggest entry yet, that being the Revenge of the Fallen Devastator, which looks like it's just about to be devastated by this Optimus Primal. Next up, we have the 3-0 DLX Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, Hasbro's Studio Series Leader Class Optimus Primal, which honestly looks like an ant in comparison. It is so tiny. Yolopark's previously released Rise of the Beast entry, so here we have the AMK Series Primal and Optimus Prime. Absolutely crazy to see the differences between these two lines. And then finally, the Studio Series Leader Class Scourge and the buzzworthy Bumblebee Optimus Prime. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Yolopark's Transformers Rise of the Beasts Beast Mode Optimus Primal. Overall, it's a fantastic looking piece, incredibly impressive, especially with its towering size and incredible attention to detail. It really is the closest thing that at the moment I think we're going to get to the actual CGI design. The internal mechanical features are crazy, especially with its ability to breathe, and the articulation to pair results in an almighty display piece. The internal steel skeleton is impressive in its construction, although I do feel is a little overkill in terms of weight. This guy is ridiculously heavy, and handling him can take a lot. I mean, trust me, this was by far one of the most challenging reviews that I've so far put together. In terms of whether or not you should pick up the standard or the deluxe edition, I think ultimately it's really going to come down to personal preference. Now that I have the deluxe version, the breathing feature really is killer. Although, had they never included it, I can't say it's one that I would have personally felt that's missing. And the difference between the price is also something worth bearing in mind, as if the breathing feature and the upcoming display base aren't really something that you're too fussed about, you could end up saving yourselves a lot of money with the standard release, and in terms of a display piece, it's going to be just as visually impressive. Now, with all that being said, if this or any of their other AMK model kits are something that interests you, then definitely be sure to head down to the links in the video description. Again, I want to say a massive thank you to Yolopark for providing me this here for a video review. I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Transform and roll out!